is iRacing.
And as far as a circuit goes, this might be one of the tougher challenges that you'll find over the course of this Grand Prix Legend season. A circuit that had housed itself in infamy in the 80s and the 90s as being a title decider of all title deciders. But this track has seen it all, done it all, and at the moment it's a case of a gold standard looking to stand head and shoulders above everyone else. Welcome to the fabled streets of Adelaide here around the 18th park that surrounds the centre of the city. My name's Shakespearean. Along with me for today's running is Ossian Puhaka, as Christian Deploy is in the director's chair using cameras provided by Dougie Beard, creating an international flair for today's show and running. But to an Adelaide street circuit that, if you knew it in the 80s and 90s, is not exactly what it once was. It is a little bit changed and different now run for the V8 supercars that comes out and races here. But with Adelaide coming onto calendars very soon in a couple of years' time, let's get a GSRC track guide so you can get a little bit of an understanding.
Welcome to Adelaide Street Circuit. This well-loved venue has had an off-and-on history, but one steeped in classic moments between F1 and Australian supercars. At 2 miles in length, or roughly 3.2 kilometers, it's a short but frantic blast around the city streets and on a purpose-built section in Victoria Park. Since 1985, the tight confines have tested many great names in racing. Sections such as the Senna Chicane need an aggressive approach to find speed in your lap time. But the notorious Turn 8 kink is what most often catches out drivers, with no runoff to save you if you lack precision. That quick blast leads you along the Brabham Straight down into the Duquetteville hairpin, which is the most popular spot to try to make an overtake. Like many street courses, those passes are hard to come by though. Track position is king here, but it does not rule out the ever-present threat of mistakes costing you more than just a spot, but often simply a chance at seeing the finish. Memorize the 14 turns, hit your marks, and steel yourself for the grueling task of completing the race. The popularity of this event has been reinforced with its frequent revival by the insistence of local fans. So there's little doubt it'll be here for many years to come.
It's a circuit that has a lot of poise around it, and there are big places to go and get moves done. Wakefield Corner at turn 4 and the Duquetteville hairpin, turn 9, are the two keys for it. But when you race in Adelaide, you understand that you have a little bit of chalk and cheese, the traditional street circuit feel from turn 4 over to turn 11, and then after that, it's green fields of pasture.
Yeah, Jake, it's a very interesting circuit to race at because it kind of has two halves. You have the sort of street half, and then you have the race course section going down from turn 10 all the way to pretty much turn number 1. It's a horse racing track that's around Terra Race Course that the track is then built around. So you got a track of two halves, but make no mistake, it is a challenging circuit. And it's sort of a precision circuit, and this car ain't really a precision instrument. It's more of you're trying to rein in an artist that doesn't want to be reined in, and that's kind of how it feels to race around here. So it splits opinions, but should be an interesting race.
It very much should do, and we will note that we do not have a split today in terms of the grid size, so all 40 are going to be there together at exactly the same point. So that's going to be worth keeping up in mind. So let's get ourselves then set down with how the championship looks then as we walk in. Aldrius Valenteus is clear now by 20 points over Topi Kortuniemi. He has been very much the unstoppable force out there, has Aldrius. In second, of course, Kortuniemi, and Togo Hesada finds himself in third. It's then Nicola Cocchi in fourth position ahead of Seb Tixier and Kevin Verbruchen, as Jorge Nieva finds himself seventh overall in the standings. Eighth belongs to Leo Sequeiro, as Gary Ho and John Olsen make up your top 10 out there on the run. But the key will be as well the fact that these fields are going to be combined together, so we've got eyes on the F2 championship as well.
We absolutely do, and there is Victor Alonso Diaz leading the F2 championship by 31 points over Doug Cloud, with Andreas Hecht tied for third with Tobias Hervey. And then it's Alan Graham in fifth place, a little bit further back, 62 from the lead and 29 from Tobias. Mats Linden in sixth place, and Campbell Wallis in seventh. Andreas Bruno, Brandon White, and Bo Poulter in that top 10 as well.
So that's how they stack out. They've got the Nations Championship, which they also fight for, to say represent the flag that you like to out there on iRacing. And Ukraine is then into position with Finland and Spain second and third. Close fight between Spain and Japan, with the Netherlands in fifth and the United States just 4 points back of that. A tie between France and Hong Kong, and that should be a tie between two close friends out there in Seb Tixier and Gary Ho, who are 7th and 8th, with 9th belonging to Italy, and the dream of Sao Tome and Principe rounding out your top 10, the work of John Olsen as he pushes together to get a good championship all set and sorted. But this will be a strong race today. 25 laps around here, which can create dramas of the highest variety, Ozzy.
Oh, absolutely. It's plenty of time to put your car into the wall, or to make those moves, or to have a spin, or to have plenty of exciting racing action, as we hope. So, as we hope, we will see open setups. Everyone can and will set the car up to their liking. You got no spare cars, so you bin it, you buy it. Drive through at 17 incidents, and you get disqualified for 25 incidents. But around here, not much of a chance to take an off track. So, by 25 incidents, you have usually well, let's just say, removed yourself from contention by other means.
You absolutely do. Qualifying currently underway. 8 minutes to set a time in, 2 laps in order to get that time set up and sorted. And what I find really interesting right now, as everyone's getting themselves around and getting their laps in, I count 11 Australians in the field.
Yeah, that's a lot of upside-down drivers.
Well, let's hope that they find themselves on all fours out there as they run. Topi Kortuniemi with a 1:20.5 goes fastest. Kevin Verbruchen, then a 1:20.7 will join in play. It's a 23-degree track temperature here. It's cold. It's the morning out there at this point. And there is car number 1, all conquering. And he believes, does Aldrius Valenteus, that over the rest of this season, if he finishes second to Kortuniemi, they'll be tied on points, and he'll take the count back to win the title. Let's see what this first lap is going to be over the line, and he will cross, and does, a 1:20.539. So he will go to pole position with that effort, and now he's got room to Aura Farm.
Oh, absolutely. Let's see how that second lap looks, and I like that we are on board with Adrius here. You can see his driving style there. As I said in the intro, these are not precision instruments. These drivers are more like artists, as they brush their way around the circuit with wide strokes, but still, it is incredibly inspiring to see Adrius in his form, just the way he is able to take that car with no downforce, mind you. It's generating lift at this point, and he's still able to place it exactly where he wants to. So here's the kink turning right, and just look how close he is to those walls without brushing them. And that was his first lap. This second lap should be even faster.
Look at the glow, the front brake drum there as it sets itself through into the Decaturville hairpin. You glance off left off of the Wakefield Road and into turn number 11, and you are now starting to flick through these final corners over to Foster's, the final corner out there on track. You got to turn and brake at the same time as you hit the entry, and now you get the turn off of the exit. Make the drive over towards the line and say, look, this is how lightning fast I can be. He puts a couple tenths back and says, look, this is what I can do. He's 2 tenths clear. Nieva currently 7th at this point in time on a 21.5. I think he'll be eyeing up that 4th place currently housed by Togo Hisada.
Yeah, but a little bit locking up there, a little bit too much smoke coming out of those cars. These tires, they don't really wear out in the middle of the race, but you can absolutely overheat them should you take it a little bit too sideways, use them a little bit too much. Of course, it can be very difficult to resist the temptation with this car, the way it likes to throw the tail end around, the way it kind of asks you to please find your limit a little bit more. So let's see what Nieva can do here past the kink.
There are only 2 drivers out there who can improve their times. Nicolas Gabriel Corta is one of them, the Argentine in the number 39 machine, and Jorge Nieva, who is looking to try and jump up. Nieva will be the second of those drivers to come to the line as he really attacks the curb there, both on entry and on exit. He's trying to get everything he can out of this attempt through. Nicolas Gabriel Corta won't get that lap to count, but can there be enough to leapfrog Koki and Tixia and Hisada, a who's who at the top of this order? And Jorge Nieva will drive for the line and gets a 120.9 and goes into 4th place with that effort, and that will be the field sorted as far as qualifying goes. So let's run through your grid then here for today around the streets of Adelaide, because the gold standard is back on top again with a 120.351. He has that pole by 2 tenths over Topi Korteniemi, with Kevin Verbruggen and Jorge Nieva 3rd and 4th. Togo Hisada will start from 5th with Seb Tixier in 6th. It then leads over to Nicola Koki and Gary Ho, as Laust Olsen will start 9th, and the Aussie Matthew Raymond, the number 38, going from 10th.
Yep, and then we got Kurt Clapper in 11th place alongside Ricardo Espanella Martinez, Ilkka Kotisalo in 13th and Ryan Turcott in 14th, Jannes Carpentier in 15th, Ray Oliver in 16th, Mitch Hella then in 17th place with Pedro Temiladri in 18th, Alan Graham in 19th and Josephine Becker rounding out the top 20.
41 car grid here today. So in 21st, it's Benjamin Shoko and Matthew Maudsley alongside here. Burka Bartusu is then in 23rd with Cam Porter in 24th. Victor Alonso Diaz, the F2 Championship leader, has Tom Pritchard for company as Tobias Hernvey, and Thomas Sonny Sinner is there in 28th, the young starlet. You got then Robert Plumley and David Mulligan. They make out the top 30.
And then we got 11 more drivers. Let's run you through them. Brandon White in 31st, Campbell Wallis in 32nd, Brad Barron 33rd, and Chris Little 34th. Carl Ridley, Christian Arribas no time in qualifying, as it wasn't for Nathan Allen nor Jason Tarman. Nicolas Corda in 39th, Lautaro Bruna in 40th, and Kyle Newby rounding out the 41 driver field. That's almost like an oval race, Jake.
It almost is, and note that the grid stalls here are not staggered. They are side by side along the main run. So with 41 cars here today, they are going to line up, and only as you get behind the corner of the final corner do they start to stagger. Such is the way that this is unique compared to anywhere else on the iRacing service. So this becomes a battle of who gets the best launch off of the start here as we now get ourselves set. Engine notes are about to rise. Welcome to Adelaide, and welcome to what will be the ending of the second third of this season. They're underway. Great start by Korteniemi. Then as he gets a lovely launch, so too then does the likes then of those who are trying to push on by Jorge Nieva. There's drama at the back as they now work through, so they're all going to have to tiptoe their way through nicely, as it was troubles for the likes of Robert Plumley and Victor Alonso Diaz, your F2 Championship leader, but everyone else just about skirts through fine. Here goes the lunge by Nieva, and he gets himself up through just for a moment into second position. They will work themselves then off of Flinders Street to Hutt Street, and no dramas like Schumacher and Hill there back in 94.
No, absolutely not. And it is the Finn running away. Topi Korteniemi, the start going exactly like he wanted. He can see Nieva just acting as a bit of a block between Topi and Valenteius, and this should allow Topi Korteniemi run away just like Keke Rosberg did back in the first Australian Grand Prix of 1985.
Well, you've got to run away. You've got to give yourself options. Valenteius, for example, right now with 2 drop rounds applied, has dropped a race win. He has won 6 of the first 7 races. He's looking for 7 in 8 right now, but he's going to struggle with that in 3rd position here with Kevin Verbruggen trying to chase him down. Toga Hesada just behind him, and then Seb Tixier. They work into the Foster's hairpin now and look to get the drive back off the other way, and a lap already scored in the books. And Ilkka Kotasalo right now has a black flag penalty. That would indicate to me a jump start.
That probably is a jump start or not serving a slowdown potentially, but yeah, that would be a jump start. Oh, and that's a big moment 10 for Ilkka Kotasalo, as we were talking about him, and that's going to be Matthew Raymond 10, the home crowd star, the surprise of this race with number 38, getting himself back into the leading dozen.
So out of the race, you've got then the black and orange mechanical flags for David Mulligan, Chris Little, Berka Bartushu, Campbell Wallace, and Tobias Hernby. We've got Nieva slow now, and that's going to drop him out of 2nd position as he now serves himself then just running wide after the side-by-side with Aldrius Valenterius. So he's now back to 7th place through all of that. Last Olsen side-by-side as he works through in towards the Decathlon hairpin. A brush of the wall there through 8 will never do any favours, and so too behind. Then again for what looks like Ilkka Kotasalo, just getting beaten about from pillar to post. We do need to go see what happened at the start, but it is very busy at the front, Aussie.
It absolutely is. So let's see then what happened in the start. You can see the back of the field having to actually start in the hairpin and behind the final corner, but you can see there one car stalling up on the grid, Victor Diaz, and that's going to cause all sorts of calamity for the drivers behind, not having time to react as Kotasalo then comes into the pit lane. There is a home in his surname, Koti, meaning home in Finnish, and he's certainly coming home to the pit lane.
Yep, and he won't be too pleased about it. There's Yannis Carpentier, a former F2 champion, who is working his way through the lefts and rights then of that centre chicane. Ryan Turcotte then has to slow up, then he's got a slow down penalty to go and serve. So too does Seb Tixier at the moment have a slow down penalty attached to his name in 5th place right now, so he's got to be very choice about the way he goes and serves it, and he's still needing to serve his penalty, and I think he's going to try and wait for the Decathlon hairpin to get that fully done and dusted, or even wait for turn 8. Nieva sitting behind Nicola Cocchi at the moment, trying to get this one all set up then for the pass, so he will lunge down the inside. Penalty served then by Tixier, but critically as they work through, Nieva just dives down for that inside line. He gets there, Gary Ho on the rear of this 4-car train.
Absolutely, and it's going to be Tixier leading the train then, and we see Temi Labriton in a side-by-side battle going round the outside 10 of Carpentier and taking up that 13th place.
Well, let's see this. This is with Berka Bartusu, who pushes into Flinders Street. Oh, he gets up over the wall and he buries himself there in the tyre bundle, and then ultimately gets driven through to get going again. And there's not really much more to be said about that, except drivers with a lot of impatience. Oh, troubles Thomas Sonny Sinner, the young starlet.
Yeah, and that car is missing quite a bit of its front end, so that it looks more like a Formula 2 machine around that same era, but is able to get back going. And the good thing for Thomas looks to be that the car is still going relatively straight, so there shouldn't be any suspension damage to speak of, but it's not going to go as fast on a straight line, obviously, as we see Matthew Raymond 10 looking to the inside already of Kurt Clapper and trying to make his way back into that top 10. And I must say, Jake, I do love a purple car, and that car certainly is purple.
Yeah, it very much is at the moment. And Matthew Raymond, well, everyone's talking about Raymond at the moment and the way that he's doing very well at the moment. He will be someone picking up big F2 championship points out of this one as he lunges for the inside of Kurt Clapper and takes the place away. Then with that pass, lovely done there with the Ford DFV Cosworth engine showing out there in one of its earlier instances of being out there. He is really showing calm and poise and precision out there on this racetrack.
Everybody loves Raymond. We're back in the 90s. We're in Adelaide and everybody loves Raymond. So actually Lotus 49 was the first car that featured the Ford-Cosworth DFV engine that went all the way into the 1980s in use in Formula 1. So read about that engine. It's a very, very, very interesting one. And here is another interesting thing. We're going to see a replay before that. So let's see what happened here. Chris Little of Australia. And yep, that's going to be the wall. And that's something you don't want to hit. Oh, just spinning right in front of the field.
Yeah, gets run over then from behind as he tried to get out there at the point. He would hope that he would be as small as Stuart Little trying to get through that gap, but ultimately did not work out the way that was needed. Courteniemi to a 1.7 second margin, the Glacier Racing number 2 out in front, but Valenteus is slowly trying to reel that gap back in, and he's got 20 laps when they next cross the line to go and manage it here. That's a slow car in front. That's Christian Arabas in trouble there, the Spaniard who's trying to get back to pits. Kurt Clapper seeing then a little look down the inside from the Argentine. Temaladri trying to get the pass. Carpentier and Becker are there trying to set themselves up and say, look, we're going to want in on this scrap and say we are just as much a part of this as everyone else is. But for the moment, you've just got to pick and choose your moments on a circuit like this. It's not one of these circuits where you can overtake everywhere as the My Neighbor Totoro machine, or at the moment the Spirited Away machine that's there, gets itself moving through the corner. Arabas just pushing a little wide there through turn 10.
Yeah, that's one of the few places on this track that you can make that mistake without hitting the wall, really. So kind of fortune in misfortune there, a silver lining then for Arabas. Meanwhile, Becca has made up 5 places from the start, so she's had a good start early on and is involved in that battle all the way up to 12th place, it looks like, Clapper, and maybe has a chance to catch Lost Poulsen as well as this race progresses further. We still have almost 20 laps to go, so there's still plenty of time, but looking to get a good exit onto that long straight. Just has to navigate the kink, and 10 onto the hairpin is the best passing zone on the track.
Turn 8 is feared and favoured as you go through here off of Bartels Road onto the Brabham Straight. And this is where you got to attack, and Temaladri goes for it. Straight down the inside, locks up though, and there's contact, and both of them are going to be found wanting there. Kurt Clapper just had to jam on the brakes then as he had a tyre in his side, and ultimately Temaladri gets away a lot quicker than Kurt does, but Kurt down to 18th as Alan Graham here wants to bring himself then into the party. Mitch Heller gets a good run now, and this suddenly becomes a 3-car battle, and hi Cam, you're there in 21st.
Yep, hi Cam, and Cam might be all the way to the top 10 if this continues as it has been. Alan Graham then looking to take a very, very inside line. Cam Porter here, we're watching him, and we're watching him quite literally as he has one of those GSRC onboard cameras then pointed to his face. And I'll tell you what, I would have worn a headband, a sweatband in my forehead for this race, because no doubt it's gonna be a stressful one.
It looks like it's going to be very stressful, and you're seeing this here with Cam Porter. He is not looking like he's breathing. He doesn't look calm. He is the pure face of concentration here through each and every single corner right now, working through Flinders Street, onto Hutt Street, now looking for Bartels Road here, coming out of turn 7 and just trying to work on by without any real worry in the early stages of this race. He knows he's trying to catch the group in front and continue to move up the order. He's currently +3 for the day. Drives like Carl Ridley behind his troubles. Ray Oliver then seeing big damage there as one car then has to pull over to the side of the road. That's Nicholas Gabriel Corta, ultimately with heavy amounts of damage as he has clobbered the barriers at turn 8.
Yep, and meanwhile, in the lead of the race, we just saw it pop up. Audius Valentier's fastest lap of the race, a 120.6 compared to Topi Korteniemi in the lead of the race, a 121.2. That's 0.6 of a second. The gap coming down to less than 1 second now between the two leaders. But we'll watch a replay first.
Yeah, this is Jorge Nieva, who is down in 6th place, and this is what happened which dropped him from 2nd to 6th. So he hits the brakes, he runs it in a bit deep there off of Flinders Street, so it puts him side by side then with Valenteus, and then suddenly he realises, oh, I haven't turned for the corner, he's overcooked his mark. So that's just how easily he drops down the time. Now, what we saw there on the main straight also had Ryan Turcott jumping up over the top of the wheel there of the Argentine of Nicholas Gabriel Corta. So that's put him a little bit further back now behind the likes of Benjamin Shoko and Ray Oliver, 2 Aussies who are pushing forward in a race like this one. But for the moment, it's about where has everyone found themselves. And the thing we need to talk about right now here, Aussie, is the front, because Aldrius has found his way back. It's only taken him a third of the race.
Yeah. and he is right up to the tail of Topi, and another fastest lap, and you can just see him kind of missing the apex actually a little bit in the first corner, but yeah, you were right, Jake, that looked absolutely fantastic. He is totally committed, totally on the limit. Two drivers with quite different driving styles, quite different preferred setup styles. Look for Topi's car to be a little bit looser on the entry of the corner as he turns it in. He likes his differential quite open on the coast side of things. So that's one of his preferences, but still getting very close to that wall. I think he might have actually brushed it coming onto the kink. We'll look out for that. And meanwhile, let's see a replay of what happened to Pedro.
Yeah, so Temiladri here working over towards turn 8. He will have to look at how it all goes wrong in front. Car across, and Turcotte, wow, just goes over the back wheel, and Temiladri just about avoids one, and then can lunge down the inside and gains a place for it. I tell you what, that was heartbreak to hero in about 2 seconds.
Oh yeah, definitely, and very lucky to avoid all that, and good reflexes as well, good instincts to not panic too much over it. And again, I think it was over before you have time to panic, but this is gonna be very interesting. I'm curious to see how Audrius chooses to handle this, because they got 4 seconds behind them to Verbruggen, and then they got another 2 seconds to Togo Hisada. So he's got time to slowly cook Topi, apply the pressure. He doesn't have to go for the first opportunity. But then again, Jake, it's very, very easy to sort of get caught up in somebody else's pace when you're running behind them. You can see it all the way from karting to Formula 1 to lots of different series. So Audrius just has to keep his own rhythm and trust his own pace, and not to get sucked into Topi's pace, to follow Topi's tire tracks too much, because otherwise it's going to be very difficult to regain that edge that he had when he was catching him up.
Yeah. When you follow a driver in front, you are sort of elected to his pace, more so at a street circuit than you are at other places in the calendar, and they'll be noting that right now, that Audrius will be here going, hold up, let me cook, I'll have a way to try and get through this, but just give me some time. I don't have to do it straight away, and I also don't need to make that move. I can be patient, and I can take the second, take my medicine, and move on to the next round. He'll also be thinking about that as far as this race now sets itself apart. So of the 41 that we had running, we are now looking at about 30 odd that we've got currently out there on circuit. I count 31 or 32 that are out there, with Tobias Hernby still going, but Valentin is here, realizing that this is going to be an even bigger challenge with the traffic, because look at what they've got next. David Mulligan and Jason Tyreman, 2 Aussies next to get by.
Yeah, and 2 very Australian names too. If I had to pick 2 names that would be very much Australian, those would be it. So let's see how they are able to get out of the leader's way, and looks to be quite an easy one, at least through the first one there. So very well done then, getting out of the way for David Mulligan. Let's see about the next one. Let's see if that opens up an opportunity then for Audrius to maybe make a little bit of a cheeky move. We'll have to wait and see about that one.
Wide line, and ultimately Jason Tyreman is going to bound over the curbs as they get the changes there, and it looks like there are going to be struggles out there around for a couple drivers here, because that's Mitch Heller who finds himself in trouble over at Wakefield Corner, and so he will now have to try and gather it back. Valentin is pretty much right to the exhaust fumes there of Topi Courtaniemi, and can't quite get the run.
No, not quite. Topi doing a very good job of keeping hold of his braking zone and not panicking too much about Audrius being close. These guys have battled before. They trust each other in these close battles, but also in street circuits, there's not too much room, and Audrius is looking to take a sort of halfway inside line into some of these places, just trying to feign Topi into thinking that he's gonna make a move even when he's not. Though there we've seen Topi take the wide line already before. Now the curious thing is, how hard will Topi also defend this? When is he forced to move to the inside line and try to take it away from Audrius, as we see a replay of what happened to Mitch Heller?
So you can see he's covering off the line and defending. He gets right across the nose and ultimately over pushes into the corner. That's why he troubles in. But now at the Decaturville hairpin top, he's going to have to let him have it here. That's a beautiful block pass. He tries to get the power back off of the exit here and works towards 9 and 10, or 10 and 11 out there on track, but Valenteas has it scouted. There will still be a chance if you go to Foster's, but Valenteas once again proving that this year it's his car. This season he is untouched on what is the brand new build after the update of these Lotus 49s. It drives differently from previous seasons, and it's clear he's taken to it like duck to water.
Absolutely, you can just see all the excess bar then sliding off those feathers. He's made to be a half diver, but he didn't need to dive much into the hairpin. He was able to make that pass, and as you said, crucially blocking off Topi from making the over-under, because you could see that Korteniemi was looking for it. He was looking for that over-under to get the repass on the exit, but Aurelius said nope, he blocked that off and he's running away. And now Topi, this is his time. I think if he wants to repass, if he wants to fight for that lead, he needs to do within the next 2 laps, because otherwise he's gonna see the Lithuanian just running away.
Thanks Nathan Allen for getting out of the way there, just Topi Korteniemi. And now as he works down onto the brakes, his opportunity at the roundabout for the Ketterville hairpin doesn't quite manifest out there, as these two have a 5.5 second margin over Kevin Verbruggen, who finds himself in 3rd position overall out there on track. So you can see the likes of Kurt Clapper and co. This is what happened earlier. He's just clipped the wall out of turn 8, and we see a lot of that around here. He's just ridden across it and basically gone bang into a shower of sparks trying to get his inner Nigel Mansell out.
Yeah, definitely so, but not in a championship hunto is Kurt Clapper, so no heartbreak from him at Adelaide. Meanwhile, I was watching Aurelius through the first Senna chicane, and he was absolutely on the rugged edge there, just teetering with the edge of the track, and Topi is applying constant pressure. And what he's doing with that pressure is that he's not allowing Aurelius to fully concentrate on his line. You can see it once again, just taking the halfway inside line, trying to make Aurelius think that he is going for that pass. And as a result of that, not making this into a hot lap competition that he has a chance of losing. Instead, trying to drag on this battle and hopefully get a mistake out of Aurelius. But that's, I tell you what, that's going to be easier said than done.
You very much will do. Ricardo Espinea Martinez has dropped behind Josephine Becker and Yannis Carpentier, who is there, the Belgian, in 11th right now. Big scraps. There was the mistake that came on through, and ultimately it was a case of both of them whistling by at turn 11. So Espinea making the mistake and dropping those 2 positions that he could ill afford out there on a race like this one. We are just over the halfway stage, and I tell you what, he's got ahead, but he's not been decisive enough to break away. I think Korteniemi has really responded well after the pass.
He has, and sometimes it can help you to see what the guy ahead of you is doing. Now, obviously, he's also getting the help of the draft on a straight line, so he is getting pulled along a little bit, but that too, he can see where he's slower than Aurelius, and he can see where he's better. He's better at that last corner. He is able to take the line a little bit tighter, whereas Aurelius looks to be much more confident in the first corner, in the chicane especially, and that's where he is always pulling away. And then you can see in these 90-degree street corners that Topi is just inching and inching a little bit closer, and every time it's like an invisible thread that's getting tucked between the two, and Topi is trying to hold on to that thread before it snaps and before Aurelius runs away. But right now 0.6 of a second, and you can see Aurelius a little bit faster through the kink as well. The gap now to 0.7 of a second, and that is in the distance where if Aurelius nails the first corner, makes it to 1 full second, then he has the chance to break the toe, has the chance to break Topi's spine and run away with it.
He really wants to, and he notes that there are other battles that are remaining close, like, for example, Gary Ho and Nicola Cocky at the moment, like Alan Graham here in 20th position, who is trying to get himself in play, like Josephine Becker side by side right now, working into turn 8. Wow, that required one driver to lift out of it, and Carpentier was going, I quite value the end of my race.
Yes, that's basically one of those passes where you essentially say, look, I'm coming past, and that's it. And look at Camporta working the wheel in the kink and still able to get the job done. So very well done from Camporta, but you could see him turn about 5 or 6 times into that one corner.
Yeah, he really had to work on the wheel to make it happen. And troubles for Carpentier. Just as we said, I'm going to try and prioritise my race. He gets himself in trouble because it's Josephine Becker who hits the wall in front of him.
Yeah, and that's Becker.
By wheel.
Yeah, that's Becker coming into the pits with 3 wheels.
Let's have a look. This is how easily it goes wrong. So Carpentier had to give it up. And then into turn 11 here, working through. Oh, it just steps out the tyre bundle. Becker catches it, and Carpentier has nowhere to go.
Yeah, absolutely nothing you can do then when somebody clips that wall. And so easy to do if you go just an inch too wide. You're gonna be in that wall, and if you're right behind somebody, there's nothing you can do, no time to react, nothing. You're just essentially guided into the side of them. Thankfully not high speed, so I think Carpentier is still able to get going, but or keep going, and it looks like he is, but sadly for Josephine Becker, her race is then all but over into that pit lane with 3 wheels. Meanwhile, we are in fight for P19 with Pedro Temeladri, who's been seeing quite a lot of screen time today, and no wonder, because he's been involved in quite a few battles. This one with Alan Graham and Mitch Heller.
And now here comes Kurt Clapper on the damaged Ryan Turcotte to go and get the pass, and again another one that Ryan sees going the wrong way. Kyle Ridley, by the way, is your biggest mover in the field from 35th to 15th. He's gained 20 spots as now Kurt Clapper then will be under the pressure as Graham and Temeladri, and Mitch Heller, who's still in this one, still wants to put himself into play. There's your movers on screen.
Ridley, believe it or not, up 20 places in about 15 laps. That is unbelievable.
Well, it's brilliant, and you're seeing just how brilliant some of this amazing driving has been, but Heller will understand that he's on the back of this group here, and we'll see Clapper, Turcotte, Graham, Temeladri all there, and Temeladri got close. Then heading through Wakefield Corner, how easy it is to get it wrong. Tiny dip there through turn 5 and over into turn 6. You've got to be really, really careful about what you can do through this section of track, and there is no runoff area now over at turn 6, where back in the day you had a little bit of room to go up on 2 wheels and into the barriers there.
Yep, and now no room, some safety concerns leading to that decision, then moving the wall closer to the track. So that meaning essentially tracking the cars that hit it differently after some unfortunate situations here at Adelaide, but Nicola Koki here then in 8th place, fighting Gary Ho in 7th. Nicola said interestingly before the race, well, he had some opinions regarding Adelaide, and they were not necessarily all positive about this track, shared by a couple of others, essentially saying that this combo, Lotus 49 and Adelaide, it's quite a tricky one.
Oh, Toppy's
not everybody likes it. Oh, and what happened to Toppy?
He's down and out. Toppy Courtaniemi is out, and he is out at the turn 8 wall, which has claimed another victim. He's gone in there and he has chucked it into the barriers, and critically, in a season like this one, that's his second drop round, and he can ill afford another race this season like it.
No, he can't. Meanwhile, watching this fight for 12th place, Zogo and Carpentier, I think it is, and Ridley as well involved in that one. Ridley has a chance to get up to 12th here.
Ridley is going to go 3 wide to turn 8. What? Are we going to make sure this works? Ridley there in 13th, 12th position right now. Suddenly being held by Yannis Carpentier. To the outside goes Kyle Ridley, trying to get this one done. All over the curb goes Benjamin Shoko, but that was commitment stuff. Trying to say, I'm going to go 3 wide over to turn 8.
Yep, absolutely a man on the mission, but let's see what happened then to the Finn, Topi Korteniemi. The glacier has melted. So we'll see what happens. Turn 8, entry. As you mentioned, just running into the wall.
Grabs it on entry there, Ozzy, and quite critically as his wheel detaches and says, I'm going to reach the barrier before you. It was a case of you hit the wall on entry, but you still got to make the turn, and it is always one that you see on those crash compilations, turn 8 at Adelaide, whenever you see it in Australian racing.
Oh yeah, it's one of the trickiest ones, because it's, especially with this car, it's such a high-speed kink. and it leads into the most important overtaking spot on the track. You want to maximize it. The wall is so close, but every lap when you come into it, it's kind of like the kink at Road America, and kind of like 130R in Suzuka with certain cars, where each and every time you drive through it, it begs you to drive faster. It says, come on, you can go, well, not flat out, but you can go faster through here. There is still room to the wall. There is still room to the wall. And eventually you're gonna find that limit and you're gonna go over that limit and then you're gonna hit the wall just like that. Another interesting thing I should mention is that we were monitoring the gap between Audius and Topi. Before that, it had come up to 0.8 of a second. I think Topi was realizing that the championship implications, in order to stay in the hunt, he needed to catch back up to Audius. He needed to take more risks. And at that point,
one way to take turn 8 there from Nicola Cocchi as he went on through. I think he took his inner Ross Chastain out on that one.
Oh yeah, just rubbing the wall. Well, you don't have fenders here, but apparently that worked out for Nicola. Somehow he's still half a second behind Gary, so yeah.
Well, he's not given up, and I think it's quite clear that over the course of this week, Nicola has said, I absolutely despise this circuit with a passion out there. He's normally up there challenging Kevin and Togo and Seb out there for places. Here today, it's not been so lucky. Carl Ridley now trying to work really hard here in 13th. He has had a brush against the barriers earlier on in the lap, so he's got to be careful of it. But look at the group right now here. It's Carpentier, Ridley, Shoko, Porter, and then behind that, look, Clapper, Turcotte, Temiladri, Heller. Look at that, a wipe of the brow there on the straight. I'd have that and a bit more if I was Cam Porter. He's really done well to work himself up. He's now +9 on mainly attrition factor. That's a huge slide, bang! Massive accident for Shoko. He's gone straight into the side of the likes then of those in front. Carl Ridley was the one who ended up being unable to abandon the ship.
Yep, went sideways into the corner, just losing it under braking, and at that point you're just a passenger. It looks like Zoko's race is over as well. You can see the replay on the top right of your screen. Yep, lost it under braking, the rear end just snapping out as soon as you touch the brakes. And that happens so easily with this car. And once that happens, well, effectively you're fighting for control, but at the same time, you would have to slow down into the corner. So it's one or the other. And unfortunately for Ben Zogoten, that ends up with a touch to another car. And here is Ridley and Porter fighting it out side by side. And I told Cam Porter, you should have had the sweatband.
Oh, but there's no need if you can switch back like this, and he'll try and do it again here for the left-hander onto Flinders Street. He'll now try and cut him back up again, going onto Hutt Street. If he gets a run to the inside, he just doesn't quite get enough. He's stitched himself there into a corner and tried it, but it wasn't quite there behind Clapper, Turcotte, Temiladri, Mitch Heller also there in the mix. But this is where you're going to want to try and get this move. You're running out of laps here. You're down to 5 to go at the moment. It'll be 4 when you cross the line, and you can see a lot more commitment out of Carl Ridley, and Porter's going to have to do a lot of work to close it up under brakes. He gets there, but not close enough to make a move, and Temiladri now almost beaches himself.
And able to keep going. Pedro is still going and still in 18th, losing a couple of positions, but that could have been so much worse. Let's see if the car is still working. Oh, he looks to be having trouble, and so is somebody else right ahead of him. That would be Kurt Clapper.
Yeah, so there was a car off on the right side of Nicolas Gabriel Corta. They would have been concerned about it on the relative, and ultimately Clapper has done what everyone else has done. Those big chunky rear tyres, they've driven it a little bit too far out. Christian Adabas with another spin. This has been a really tough day to get a result.
It has been, and it's one of those tracks where, as so many people mentioned, it only takes one mistake. It only takes one error, and it can be easy to say from here up in the safety of our commentary booth, as we can see the replay of Kurt Clapper. Yep, just spanking the outside of that wall, and at that point you're unseen. So you're trying to get the power down to make the car turn. You know that you're going a little bit wide. You're trying to get the power in to make the car turn. But the rear steps out just a little bit too much over the curb, and as a result of that, you hit the wall. And it only takes that one contact where the momentum goes from going to the right. Essentially, you spank the tire and it goes to the left and you spin around, and that can really break the drive shaft of the car as well. So that's what I would be worried about in his case. Meanwhile, we are watching Seb Tix here in what is apparently a spaceship.
It is a spaceship, and not only that, you got the skewed camera on the left-hand side showing the brake and acceleration control.
Yeah, that is a large brake pedal.
I would say it is one way, if you're in VR, you cannot miss the brake pedal. You just can't.
No, and just seeing the great job of, you have to blip on the downshift with these cars. It's essentially a dock box. So you don't need to use the clutch if you don't want to. You can just lift off the throttle upshifting, and then you need to blip the throttle downshifting. And that's something that these drivers will know how to do very well indeed. Watching coming under braking here as well, gonna be downshifting. You can just see the little blips perfectly synchronized with the movement of the hand to the gearbox, gear lever, and then going down a gear, again up a gear. Just, you can see how effortless it looks when you're good at this.
Togo Hesada is also trying to chase down Kevin Verbruggen late here. That gap's a second. It's 3/10 between Nicola Cocchi, or now a quarter of a second between him and Gary Ho. So there's a lot of battles coming along late, and I think now Nicola Cocchi's going to get a run here if he wants to go and get this sorted as Tixier deals with the traffic. Nicola to the inside. Gary Ho gave him a mile and a half as he bounded over hill and dale, over the curbs as he went through. It was almost like he was trying to run in the Grand National.
Oh yeah, I think he was trying to just...
Pontier is blinking about as well, so he's got to be worried about this too with Carl Ridley.
Oh, he is, and you can see Nicola Cocchi here again working his way through the traffic. 4.5 seconds to the next car. He's pretty comfortably in 6th place, but yeah, Gary Ho absolutely wanted nothing to do with that battle. He was just like, okay, Nicola, I see you're on the move. Go past, have room, have all of the room.
Take a pride in the fact that you've got 6th place as Togo Hesada, I think, is relying on a mistake late here. This has been a day where these two, we've hardly talked about them 2nd and 3rd, but they've been quiet and working. There is Ridley trying to get this one up into 12th place. He's desperate to get by Yannis Carpentier. He'll now try and sweep around the outside here onto Flinders Street. And off for the East Terrace, he's done well. And now for the right-hander. Can he confirm it? Yes! He can. Good pass, but he comes across, defends the line, going back then off of Hutt Street and onto Bartels Road. And now on the run to turn 8. Here comes the drive then from Yannis, who I'm not sure is going to be giving this one up out there as he tries to push on and say, look, I want to get this sorted. I want to get this pass back. Covered across to the middle of the road. Good defense out there, and he has done very well to keep that one into line as the drive off the exit is just about going to be there. Making his way just behind them, though, in towards turn number 9. The Decathlon hairpin is your race leader. He's now only with a 7-second margin. He's been able to dial it back in the final couple of laps. Zero risk out there to finish it off because he's put all the risk into this race early on. He forced the pressure for Topi Korteniemi. Keep up or crash, and he crashed, and suddenly now Algiers Valenteus is staring down the barrel of a 7th win in 8 races. He's been nigh on unstoppable tonight, and he knows that for this and every race he is the favourite when he goes to it. Valenteus now putting a handheld feel on a title with 4 rounds to go.
What a performance. Didn't let the start troubles worry him at all. As we watch Togo Hesada drifting it round, as we watch Nicola Cocchi and Gary Ho having a fight all the way to the line. It is gonna be Cocchi in 6th and Gary Ho in 7th. And 10 in 8th place. I want to give a shout out to this man in 8th place, Matthew Raymond, number 38, the local Aussie driver, as we're watching Campota. Matthew Raymond, local Aussie driver in that purple car. Absolutely wonderful result. This is the kind of drive that makes people stand up and take notice and ask, just who is this guy?
The Team Watson Racing Setups car getting an absolute showcase as Cam Porter's going to pick one up on Yannis Carpentier. Late is he out there as he works through there. So he's going to see that and he's going to say thank you very much through the final corner. It will be a drag race between them, but Cam Porter is going to be up 11 spots as he crosses the line. Carl Ridley up 22 in today's race. Some big results.
You could see Cam's face just at the end there as we're watching Ryan Turcotte coming to the line. He's like, unbelievable, I'm 13th. I actually made it through. Like, that face said everything. How about Ryan Turcotte 10? In that half of a Lotus 49, still looking to finish amidst the front runners who are already making their way to the pit lane. He is gonna be our last driver 10 on the lead lap. 18 drivers on the lead lap, Jake, here in Adelaide.
Yeah, that's less than half the field who have managed to get that accolade. It's been a tough race, but Algis Valenterius wins by 5.6. He dialed it back against Kevin Verbruggen, as Togo Hesada would chase down the final spot on the podium. Seb Tixier would be fourth ahead of Jorge Nieva and Nicola Cocchi, with Gary Ho taking a very well-deserved 7th place. Matthew Raymond will be all smiles there, the number 38 car, then getting himself a top 10 finish ahead of Laust Olsen and Ricardo Espinella.
And then you see our next 10, and it's going to be started out by Ray Oliver, and then our biggest mover of the race, up 23. Kyle Ridley, how about that? Beating out Cam Porter, who in turn beat out Yannis Carpentier near the end. Mitch Heller 15th, and Petro Temeladri, when it looked like against all odds, did finish the race in 16th. Kurt Clapper similarly having an interesting race in 17th, and Ryan Turcotte, final one out of the lead lap in 18th. You got Alan Graham in 19th, and Ilkka Kotisalo, despite the black flag at the start, finishing in 20th.
Well, noting here that for Turcotte, his nose actually fell off on turn 1 of the final lap. Thomas Sonny Sinner would end up 21st ahead of Robert Plumley, with Nathan Allen and Brad Warren. Those are lap down. 3 for Christian Arabas, 4 for Tobias Hernvey. And then you got Benjamin Shoko, 6 down. You're starting to hit retirees now. Topi Courtiniemi, Josephine Becker, and Tom Pritchard.
Yep, and in the retirees as well, Nicolas Gabriel Corta, David Mulligan, Jason Tarman, Nicolas Gabriel Corta, David Mulligan, Lautaro Bruna, Berker Baruchu, Matthew Maudsley, Kyle Newby, Brandon White, Campbell Wallis, Victor Alonso Diaz, and as well as Chris Littleton. In classified as 41st, classified as retired Jake, as I do believe we have some guys ready to talk to us after that race, if they are capable of speaking after that one.
It's been a tough race. Kevin Verbruggen, though, 2nd position is going to be the end result for you. But a race where really you spent the majority of that time probably around your own pace there, seeing the top 2 run away, and then just having to manage the gap between you and Togo behind.
Yeah, that's about the gist of it. This track is just a death trap in these cars, and I wasn't that fussed about Jorge getting in front at the start. He had a great start there, but it showed that later he had a slowdown, I think, and that's why I got ahead of him. And it just shows that this track, it's all about, it's not about one lap pace. It's all about just keeping it out of the wall and driving the same pace, just lap after lap.
And finding that pace lap after lap, how critical was it for you to basically just sit back, let the race play to you? Because the moment that Topi Courtiniemi finds himself in the barrier, suddenly you're thinking, right, I've got a chance for what will feel like the first time in forever to go out there and fight for what is 2nd place honours. You've only had 1 podium this season.
Yeah, exactly. I was kind of surprised that maybe Togo wasn't a little bit closer to me near the end, but no, very happy to get that 2nd just by keeping it safe, managing the traffic. Just whenever someone is front, just don't do any rash moves. Just even if you lose half a second or a second by that, just get it to the end, and it paid off today. Very happy.
Well, happy with this. A chance for you, though, to spread your wings after Alton and Adelaide, 2 very tight circuits, because next up for you, it's going to be Interlagos. Does that allow for a bit more, I would say, flexibility to say, look, I can go out there and I feel a bit more comfortable now driving on a circuit that's a lot more open?
Interlagos is a great track to drive in any car, but in this car as well. That last turn onto the main straight, which is a corner for us, which it isn't for any other car, is great. And I'm glad to get a bit of pace with a new car. It's clearly taken me a bit of time to find some pace here, especially on bumpy tracks like this. But I'm glad to hopefully have some more races like that. We'll see if it's the case or if it's just a one-off, but do feel more confident for the upcoming races.
Well, take that confidence and run with it between now and the end of the season. Kevin Verbruggen finishing off in 2nd position overall. 3rd today was Hasu Kote himself, the Emperor of the Lotus, Togo Hesada. He stood by with Ozzy Puhaka.
Well, Togo, it's been a while since we talked on the broadcast. We've been seeing each other more on track lately, but Togo, Adelaide podium finish, that has to make you happy.
Yeah, it's super exhausting track, mentally, of course. But yeah, I'm pretty happy to take the checker flag and take a decent point.
Absolutely. So what made it so difficult? We saw a lot of people crashing. We saw Topi crash, for example, a lot of other drivers. What do you think made this track so difficult?
I think the rhythm, track rhythm, braking, accelerating is a bit unique. And in the Long Beach or other track, of course, the Nürburgring, we have we can take a rest at some of the point of track, but Adelaide straight is very short and all the time. You can concentrate every single turn, every single moment. So it makes harder to me, I think.
It certainly looked pretty hard, and that is a good point. You can't rest at any point in time here. You absolutely cannot. So how is Togo's schedule looking this weekend? Will we see you tonight at IMSA Vintage or tomorrow at 79s?
And now still, I'm not that young.
Oh, come on!
I need to sleep recently because I know the university and the studies are even busier than the last couple of years. So yeah, I need to study. I need to real life thing is super busy. So yeah, I'm gonna watch GSRC broadcast.
That also sounds like a good plan. Well, hopefully we will call you Dr. Hisada in a few years. And thank you for the interview. And if there's anyone you would like to give a shout out to, feel free to do so.
Of course, congrats to the Audrey's for the win. Of course, it's very tricky track, and considering he's in P3 at the end of the first lap, it's incredible to fight back and take the win. So yeah, huge congrats to the Audrey's. And of course, thanks for Global SimRacing Channel broadcasting team. Thanks for the great broadcast for every single week. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Togo. And next up, we have Jake Sperry standing by, and I do believe he's found the spaceship pilot.
I have Sebastian Tixier, fourth position out there. The rocket ship seemed to be able to get some good pace out there, Seb, but reality was that the gaps just opened up, I think, and this was more a race of survival than it was a race of pure pace.
Exactly. I'm still P3 of the human being. I don't count the alien in the front. In my heart, I'm P3. This track, I was just trying to survive. And even that, I touched the wall a few times and no damage. Was happy with that. I just wanted to finish the race and no slowdown, and I failed. I had 3 slowdown. Thankfully, I think Jorge was quite seeing me as a model. So every time I was taking a slowdown, he was taking one too. So thank you, Jorge, for that. And P4, I'm happy with that. Yes, I hope we'll do better next time. Yeah.
Let's just talk about your setup here for a moment, because it looks absolutely incredible. You've got the H-pattern shifter on the right, you've got the lovely steering wheel, and possibly the biggest brake pedal I've ever seen.
So the shifter is very specific. It's an active shifter. So when I push, the gear doesn't pass. I have to push, and when the game actually shifts, then it's engaged. So it's really nice because you really have a feedback of how you gear, how you shift. And for example, for the GTO, it prevents any mischief because you just have to push, and when the game engages, then you know it's engaged, so there's no mischief. The pedals are wave pedals, Italian pedals. I think that's the best pedal ever. I tried active pedal at traversing Veld, and the feeling is so good. I had those for 6 years, and I never did any servicing on it. The load cell is perfect. I love those pedals. The faceplate are handmade by me with my little hand. I like so it's a big brake because I can go left foot braking and right foot braking heel toe, but I'm too bad on the Lotus to do heel toe, so I'll just shit and use left braking.
We'll apologise for any language that you heard there, but quickly over to you here, Seb. Interlagos must be a lot easier for you coming up over the course of the next 7 days.
Yeah, Interlagos is not a track I like very much, but somehow I'm doing usually well there. I don't know why. There's more space for sure, so it will be, at least we can have some fight there, so it will be nice. It's a nice track, and it's one of the few left most historical track at the layout with more sports, so I think it would be fun there. But another track I am really waiting for is Spa, because the fast track, and I'm better on fast track. On slow track, I'm not very good like this track Adelaide is too slow for me. That I don't manage to control properly the throttle and stuff.
Well, we will wish you the best of luck as far as racing action is going to go. Seb Tixier joining us then, and 4th place as far as this goes. A little bit down the order, but what a wonderful drive up the field it was for Cam Porter. He stood by with Ozzy Puhaka.
Yes, Cam. Now, first of all, congratulations. You managed to finish the race, and not only finish it, but 11 places up from where you started. We saw you sweating there on that screen, and I think it was a hard one, huh?
Yeah, it sure was. I just had one goal in this race, and that was to survive. And I managed to do that despite all the action that was happening around me, crashes behind, people spinning ahead. Yeah, so very happy with this result today. Up 11 places. I couldn't ask for a better result, at least for my normal performance anyway.
Yeah, and we saw a little bit of an interesting battle in the last lap as well, because it was Cam Porter, the Carpenter, versus Yannis Carpentier.
Yeah, he was, him and Kyle Ridley were going at it a little bit. I was secretly hoping that they might take each other out, but obviously that didn't happen. Both those guys are clean drivers, so we managed to survive to the end. I wasn't too concerned about picking up just one more spot, because I was very happy to finish where I did today.
So, what's it gonna take for Cam Porter to make it into the top 10 potentially this season in one of these races?
Oh, that may not happen. It's just more attrition, I guess. I don't take my racing all that seriously. I jump in kind of 30 minutes before the race, and I usually can, get up to my normal pace anyway, but I don't do a heck of a lot of practice. Some of these guys I know race multiple times throughout the week, but I do other series as well, so my attention is divided often. But I just get in and floor it and have fun.
That's exactly the attitude we love to see. Lovely talking to you, Cam, and congratulations for a great finish.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.
See you.
Well, Cam Porter having a lovely showcase of driving then up through the order, but that will do it for our time here at Adelaide. A massive thanks to the team that has brought this show over to you, from Ozzy and Puhaka, from Christian Deploy, and from Dougie Beard. Next up on the Genesis Extreme Productions here on the Global SimRacing Channel in 7 days' time, it is Interlagos, which will be a breath of fresh air for many drivers who found troubles out there today and knew that this was going to be a tall order. So there will be a lot of smiles to be had that they are back in at a legendary circuit. Coming up next, 1:30 UTC, 9:30 AM Eastern. You can catch that with us here on the Global SimRacing Channel. As far as other shows go, over the course of the week, we'll be dealing with IMSA Vintage later on tonight at 5 p.m. UTC. That'll be tackling the mountain at Bathurst. Over for the Classic Lotus Grand Prix series on Sunday. That will be at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. And then we're back with Thursday and Saturday action, of course, with Interlagos we mentioned earlier. But the Skip Barbers are heading to Charlotte, which will be a wonderful track of racing as they will fight for that final chicane. Sometimes the more things change, the more they stay the same in terms of racing. It doesn't matter if you give yourself a tight circuit, an open circuit, one with high speed, one with a lot of low speed and tricky corners. It's all about Aldrius at the moment. He is simply put unstoppable, and everybody else has to go up to a different level. Topi Courtaniemi officially cracked today. He's now got no more chances in the back pocket. One more mistake, and Aldrius is as good as walking away towards the title.
iRacing.